Steward Li lined up all 20 of us maids, mouths stuffed full of chili powder, standing on beds of nails. Nobody move. Anyone who slacked even slightly, or let out a single cry of pain, would be dragged out and beaten to death on the spot. Cold sweat mixed with tears of agony, soaked through my thin clothes in seconds. The soles of my feet were on fire, a bone-deep, unbearable pain. All around me, the other girls were breaking down, sobbing, begging for mercy. But I just clenched my teeth, and held that mouthful of chili powder all the way to dawn. In the end, I was the one who stood out, the only one who made it through, the one they chose. That same night, I was sent to Shen Yao's chambers. The reason? His wife, Liu Ruyan, had recently been confirmed pregnant. She was in no state to keep attending to his needs in bed, so they needed to pick one of us lowly maids, someone with a clean background, to warm his bed. A few months later, Liu Ruyan gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl, and I was confirmed by the physician to be 2 months pregnant myself. For the first time in what felt like forever, there was something to hope for. When Shen Yao came to see me, I was overjoyed. I was just about to tell him the news, when before I could even get the words out, Shen Yao's manservant grabbed me and shoved me hard into the pond. Thrashing, gasping, I looked up in terror and saw the killing intent in Shen Yao's eyes. My wife is devoted to me. There is no way I'm letting a maid climb above her station. The manservant's hand on top of my head pressed harder and harder, until finally, he drowned me in that ice-cold pond. After that, the two of them stayed as loving as ever. The perfect couple, celebrated all across the capital, while me and my unborn child died for nothing. Then I opened my eyes again. I had been reborn, back to before Liu Ruyan had given me away. This time, I was going to rewrite my fate with my own hands. I knew that Duke Xiaoye had been widowed for years, and had never remarried. I made up my mind. I was going to get into his bed, transform myself into the lady of the Duke's manor. I was going to make those two call me stepmother and mean it. Not long after, Liu Ruyan was officially confirmed pregnant by the royal physician. Shen Yu rushed back from outside the moment he heard, and as he passed by me, that greedy gaze of his lingered on me for just a moment. Slick and gross made my skin crawl. Not long after, Liu Ruyan's soft, coy sounds drifted out from inside the room, along with Shen Yao's tender, coaxing voice. From a distance, it sounded like the most devoted, blissful couple you'd ever seen. But the moment Shen Yao left, Liu Ruyan's personal maid Chen Yao started running her mouth immediately. Vicious, spiteful. What kind of decent girl from a good family who struts around with her chest practically popping out of her clothes? And that figure, that face, shameless. Even the girls at the brothel aren't this brazen. Clearly not a girl who knows her place. What's the point of keeping a little vixen like Su Nuo around? From inside the room, Liu Ruyan let out a soft sigh, and told her not to go around talking like that behind people's backs. Not long after Liu Ruyan had me brought inside, I knelt on the floor with my head bowed, obedient. Liu Ruyan studied me for a long moment with those deep, unreadable eyes, then smiled sweetly and said, Su Nuo, you really are a lucky one. That kind of luck, I want absolutely nothing to do with it. In my last life, not long after she said those exact same words, I became Shen Yao's bed warmer. Drowning and the suffocation, it was agony. There is no way I'm living through that a second time. Ever since Liu Ruyan's pregnancy was confirmed, Shen Yao had been coming by every single day to see her. But every time he came, that blatant stare of his would land on me, sometimes fixed on my face, sometimes on my chest, sometimes on my waist. The way he looked at me made my whole body go cold. Anyone with eyes could see it. He was very pleased with how I looked. Every time that happened, Shen Yao would shoot me a look that could kill. And after Shen Yao left, she'd spit out another shameless little vixen. Liu Ruyan always kept that gracious, understanding smile on her face. But underneath it was something cold and dangerous. How did I ever convince myself in my last life that Liu Ruyan was genuinely kind and didn't care about my existence? What was hiding behind that gentle smile was a very clear, very real desire to see me dead. I can't just sit here and wait to die again. In just 2 more days, Shen Yao would force me into his room. But as a lowly maid, my indenture contract was still in Liu Ruyan's hands. Escaping a life where anyone could control me on a whim felt nearly impossible. But right at that moment, a voice came bursting in from outside, practically vibrating with excitement. My lady, I the Duke, won another battle at the front. He'll be back tomorrow. A flash of delight crossed Liu Ruyan's face, though her fingers quietly curled tight. And just like that, a bold idea came to me. Xiaoye, Shen Yao's adoptive father in name, was only 32, still in his prime. He had never remarried after his wife died. Not even taken a concubine. If I could become his woman, nobody would dare mess with me again. Not even Liu Ruyan and Shen Yao could touch me without going through the Duke first. On top of that, Shen Yao wasn't even his real son. Shen Yao's biological father had been one of Xiaoye's subordinates, fought alongside him through countless campaigns, north and south for years, until he died on the battlefield. When his wife heard the news, she couldn't hold on either, and passed away shortly after. At the time, Shen Yao was just a child, only a few years old. No family left, no one to look after him, so Xiaoye brought him into the Duke's manor, and took him in as his adopted son. All these years, Shen Yao had been the only young master in the Duke's household. When Liu Ruyan heard the Duke was coming back, she was naturally thrilled. She had always been very respectful toward this father-in-law of hers. Early the next morning, she had Xun Yao help her get all dolled up. My lady, now that you're with child, the Duke is going to be over the moon when he hears. Once you give him a grandson, he might just go to the palace and request a title for you. You could end up a lady of the first rank. Liu Ruyan's smile grew even wider, one hand gently resting on her swollen belly, face full of anticipation and hope. I stood to the side, eyes down, saying nothing. Too bad, she's going to be disappointed. In my last life, Xiaoye came straight back and went straight to a palace banquet. Liu Ruyan waited until dark and he never came home. But honestly, that made things a lot easier for me. Liu Ruyan had never liked my face much. She got rid of me not long after. I went straight back to the servants' quarters, gathered every bit of silver I'd saved over the years, and quietly started greasing the right palms. Eventually, I got the exact route Xiaoye would take back to the manor. Once night had completely fallen, I stood there holding a single lantern, right in the middle of the path Xiaoye had to pass through. The clothes I had on were thin, very thin. The night breeze swept through, and I couldn't stop myself from shivering. My heart started racing. Xiaoye was powerful, one of the most powerful men in the capital. Half the noble daughters in the city were dying to marry him, and more than a few had tried to crawl into his bed. But this man had zero interest in women, and every single girl who tried that got flogged and sold off by a trafficker. The more I thought about it, the more terrified I got. My legs were turning to jelly. Finally, I just said, forget it. If this doesn't work tonight, Shen Yao was going to take me by force tomorrow. And after that, death was just a matter of time. Might as well throw everything at this one shot. Even if I end up getting sold off by a trafficker, maybe I'd still find a way to survive out there. I stood out in the cold wind for about half an hour. Then finally a figure slowly approached. In the hazy moonlight I looked. A man roughly 30 years old. Built solid. Striding this way with serious purpose. My legs nearly gave out. That frame looked like it could flatten me with one punch. This had to be the legendary Duke. I saw that no one was with him. I took a deep breath, gritted my teeth, and walked toward him, lantern in hand. Then pretended to trip and fall right into his arms. His body was solid muscle. Crashing into him rattled my bones. It actually hurt enough to bring tears to my eyes. Xiaoye looked down at me cold. Who are you? I forced myself to stay calm. Bit down hard, looked up at him with red-rimmed eyes. And who are you? Don't come near me. Then I steeled myself and started putting on a flustered, half-hearted struggle. The thin, barely there fabric I was wearing had already left very little to the imagination. Xiaoye's gaze dropped, fixed on me, his expression going darker and harder to read. The hand gripping my waist slowly tightened. He watched me for a long moment, then tugged the corner of his mouth into a smirk. Little girl? You've got some nerve. Openly trying to seduce me? Junyao wasn't wrong. I was born to be a little vixen, apparently. In my last life, after spending months around Shenyao, I learned exactly what men respond to. Before coming out here, I'd knocked back a few cups of peach blossom wine. Liquid courage. It actually worked. I looked up at him through slightly hazy, tipsy eyes, and the fear in my chest eased just a little. I played dumb and innocent, but every move I made was dripping with suggestion. 3 parts drunk, stretched into 7. Finally, I managed to spark a flicker of interest in Xiaoye, but he didn't take me back to his main quarters, just to a side room where he sometimes rested. I barely slept at all. Before dawn, I rushed back to attend to Liu Ruyan. When I walked in, I found out Shen Yao had stayed the night with Liu Ruyan too. Liu Ruyan had a flush on her cheeks, the two of them whispering close together, all warm and sweet. Ever since Liu Ruyan's pregnancy was confirmed, Shen Yao hadn't spent the night there in a long time. I noticed right away. The way Shen Yao looked at me was more heated than usual. Last night, the two of them seemed to have reached some kind of agreement, one they'd never say out loud. While I was helping Shen Yao wash up, he casually slipped and grabbed my hand. That smile of his, lecherous and loaded. I yanked my hand back in panic, turned around and saw Liu Ruyan clutching her handkerchief, staring at me with cold, dead eyes. After Shen Yao left, Liu Ruyan finished getting dressed and ready, and headed off to pay her respects to Xiaoye. She specifically told me to carry the scalding hot chicken soup, and come along with her. The whole way there, the heat radiating through the bowl was pure torture, even as the back of my hand blistered red and swollen. I held on, tight, didn't let go. This soup was a gift from the Imperial Palace, a rare, precious tonic. If I dropped it, a worthless maid like me couldn't pay for it with her life. Liu Ruyan watched me go pale and silent, and her smile got wider. She said how lucky I was with a laugh. Chunyao shot me a murderous look from the side. It's just a bowl of chicken soup. You're acting like it's going to kill you. Somebody might think you were the young miss of this house. You're a lowly maid. You're only still here because our miss has a kind heart. A little vixen like you. Someone should have dragged you out and gotten rid of you a long time ago. I kept my head down and said nothing. Chunyao clearly wasn't satisfied even after all that. She whipped around and slapped me across the face. My head snapped to the side. My grip faltered, and some of the scalding soup sloshed out. It hit the back of my hand and turned it red instantly. The pain made my eyes water, but I barely managed to keep the bowl from hitting the ground. Liu Ruyan, standing to the side, finally spoke up, calm and unhurried. Told Chunyao not to overstep, for show. Then turned to me with a soft, gentle smile. Said Chunyao had been spoiled and meant no harm. She hoped I wouldn't take offense. I kept my eyes low and murmured, Chunyao correcting me is an honor. I'm grateful. Liu Ruyan's smile got even more satisfied. Said I was sharp, knew my place, while Chunyao just kept muttering insults under her breath. We arrived at Xiaoye's courtyard. The place was guarded by a good number of soldiers. The moment we stepped in, I heard Xiaoye's steward, Steward Shu, asking someone, any news on the person the Duke is looking for? My heart lurched. Before the guard could answer, Steward Shu spotted us. His gaze landed on me, with an expression that was hard to read. Then he led us toward Xiaoye's room. The moment I walked in, I felt it. A powerful, crushing gaze landing directly on me. I didn't dare look up. I set the chicken soup down as Liu Ruyan had instructed, bowed my head and quietly stepped back. Then suddenly, a voice low and edged with cold, stop! I froze and looked up in a panic. Xiaoye sat there, eyes slightly narrowed, staring straight at me. His expression unreadable, heavy with something unsaid. When I woke up that morning, Xiaoye was still asleep. Last night I'd climbed through the window, pretending to be drunk. He never asked which household I was from, and I played dumb about who he really was. As a lowly maid, I couldn't leave anything that could be used against me. The smart move was to slip out as fast as possible. And now, this was technically my first official meeting with the Duke. I froze on the spot immediately, put on exactly the right amount of terror on my face, then dropped to my knees with a heavy thud, voice shaking. This servant pays her respects to the Duke. Head down, face pale, whole body trembling, the picture of someone completely terrified out of her mind, and that cold gaze bearing down on me from above, gradually softened just a little. Lu Ruyan frowned and glanced at me, with clear displeasure in her eyes, then smoothed her expression and turned to Xiaoye. Father-in-law, is something wrong? Xiaoye suddenly stood, walked over to me slowly. So it's you. Nothing. This maid, she's got some real tolerance. Her hands burned up like that. He looked up at Steward Shu standing nearby. Steward Shu caught on immediately, and had someone take me to get my hand bandaged. I followed the maid Steward Shu sent and left. Lu Ruyan's gaze had a cold edge to it, and Chunyao was staring at me with pure, undisguised hatred. Good night, Lady Lu. By the time we came out, my hand had just finished being wrapped. Xiaoye didn't bring any of it up, and I definitely wasn't going to ask. Too afraid of blowing my cover, I quietly followed Lu Ruyan back to her quarters, heart pounding the whole way. Liu Ruyan gave me one look, then went back inside. Chunyao had been bottling it up, and let it out with a hard slap across my face, screaming at me that trash like me had no business catching the Duke's eye, and that if it weren't for our Mrs.'s sake, I'd have been thrown out long ago. I knelt there holding my face, jaw locked tight. A cold despair crept over me. The Duke doesn't plan on keeping me, so this crawl into bed scheme failed. Could it be that even this life, I still can't escape the miserable fate of being Shen Yao's bed warmer? Shen Yao made me kneel for 2 full hours. In the end, it was Liu Ruyan who stopped it, worried that if my knees gave out, Shen Yao might think she was being too harsh, and it would damage her reputation as a gentle and virtuous wife. So she called off Chun Yao's punishment, even had Chun Yao apply medicine to my face and hands. That evening, Shen Yao came over. Chun Yao and I attended to Liu Ruyan. While she and Shen Yao had dinner, Shen Yao's eyes kept drifting to me. That urgency, that hunger in his gaze, it made my skin crawl. Liu Ruyan kept smiling, and casually glanced at me. Chun Yao glared at me the entire time. I felt like I had a target on my back. Finally, the two of them finished dinner. Shen Yao took Liu Ruyan's hand tenderly, warm and loving. Having you by my side, what more could a man ask for? Liu Ruyan leaned into Shen Yao's arms softly. Husband, stop teasing me. Watching that couple perform their fake devotion, I felt nothing but cold, and for the first time I felt a deep, burning resentment rise in me. Liu Ruyan wanted me gone. A thorn in her side she'd love nothing more than to rip out.
Shen Yao had coveted my body for months.
He used me to satisfy his own desires, and then felt guilty about his wife. So he decided the cleanest solution was for me to simply disappear. Wipe the slate clean. Pretend it never happened. Chunyao thought I was shameless, that I'd seduced Xiaoye and broken our Mrs. Heart. She despised me completely. Every chance she got, humiliate me, hit me whenever she felt like it. But through all of this, did any one of them ever once ask if I was willing? In their eyes, I was nothing but an object. Theirs to use, trade, and dispose of. They hadn't even bothered to mention any of it to me, and had already decided my fate. After about a quarter hour of their sweet nothings, Shen Yao was already getting restless. His eyes kept sliding back to me. That look, full of raw desire, turned my stomach. Liu Ruyan's smile never wavered, but I noticed the handkerchief in her hand had been crushed into a tight, crumpled mess. She turned to Shen Yao with a gentle smile, softly said she wasn't feeling up to it tonight, so she wouldn't keep him here to rest. She'd had the side room next door prepared for him. Shen Yao's face lit up. He squeezed Liu Ruyan's hand with a smile. You always know exactly what I need. Liu Ruyan gave him a playful look, then turned to me, told me to take Shen Yao to the side room. I led Shen Yao toward the side room. Just as we neared the doorway, Shen Yao suddenly lunged forward and yanked me hard into his arms. My face went white with shock. I struggled and cried out, Sir, what are you doing? Shen Yao held me tight, pinning me against him. Eyes locked straight onto mine. Su no, your miss has already given you to me. Tonight, you're mine. Let me take good care of you. As he said it, his lips moved closer, warm breath hitting my face. Despair crashed through me. I twisted away in a panic, voice cracking. Please let me go. I am Mrs. Maid. He forced my struggling to stop, scooped me up and started carrying me toward the room. My mind went completely blank, and I blurted out in desperation, I'm already the Duke's woman. What did you just say? Shen Yao's hands froze midair, his eyes filled with disbelief and something ugly. He grabbed my wrist and squeezed, hard enough that I felt like my bones were about to snap. You're out of your mind. A worthless little maid dares to claim the Duke? Watch your mouth before you choke on your own lies. I was shaking from the pain, cold sweat sliding down my temple, soaking through my thin collar, but I clenched my teeth and held on, tears burning in my eyes. I forced my face into exactly the right expression, deeply wronged but too stubborn to back down. What happened last night? The Duke knows about it. If you don't believe me, go ask him yourself. Shen Yao's face went ashen, with a flicker of panic underneath. He clearly didn't believe me, but the words the Duke made him hesitate. Everyone in the capital knew Xiaoye's iron grip. Even the emperor gave him room. Shen Yao was just an adopted son. How could he dare actually go and confront him? Shen Yao stared me down for a long moment, sharp as a hawk, cutting right through me, like he was trying to see straight through my act. I felt every hair on my body stand up. Cold sweat had already soaked my back, but I held my ground and refused to flinch, fingers digging into my own palm, using the pain to hold on to that last shred of composure. Right then, steady footsteps suddenly rang out from outside the door, each step landing like it was pressing directly on your chest, followed by Steward Shu's respectful voice. Duke, what brings you here? My lord? Shen Yao's whole body jolted. He instantly let go of my wrist, spun around and hurried to bow at the doorway. Father, what are you doing here? The panic in his voice was impossible to hide. I quickly lowered my head too, heart hammering, hopeful and terrified at the same time, hoping Xiaoye would protect me, and scared he'd pretend not to know me. Xiaoye appeared in the doorway, backlit, hard to read, radiating the kind of authority that made the whole room shrink. His gaze swept the room, passed over Shen Yao's stiff, tense profile, and finally landed on me, probing, loaded with meaning. I was passing by, heard some noise coming from in here. What's going on? Shen Yao's face got even more unnatural, quickly forced out a smile. It's nothing, father. This maid just overstepped. Startled me a bit, nothing serious. I snuck a glance up at Xiaoye, and met those deep, fathomless eyes of his head on. Those eyes, like they were hiding an endless abyss. I quickly looked back down, voice catching in my throat just enough. My lord, every word I said just now was the truth. I wasn't trying to disrespect the young master. Shen Yao snapped his head toward me, eyes burning with something that could kill. Like he wanted to swallow me whole. You little wretch! How dare you keep lying! Xiaoye raised one hand and cut Shen Yao off cold. Simple gesture, but absolutely no room to argue. He walked slowly over to me, looked down at me from above, eyes dropping to my swollen red wrist. And my pale face. Your hand's in that state. Why are you still standing here? His tone gave nothing away, but it made Shen Yao's expression darken considerably. The vein at his temple was visibly twitching. Steward Shu stepped forward immediately. My lord, perhaps let Miss Sunuo rest first. I'll handle things here. Xiaoye gave a slight nod. His gaze lingered on me for just a moment longer, with an almost imperceptible scrutiny. Go, rest up. Whatever you need, tell Steward Shu. A wave of relief washed over me. Like 1,000 pounds had just been lifted off my shoulders. I quickly dropped into a deep bow. Thank you, my lord. As I turned to leave, I could feel it. Shen Yao's and Liu Ruyan's gazes, both burning into my back. Like stones pressing down, scorching. I didn't dare breathe properly until I was back in my own room. The cold sweat on my palms had soaked through my sleeve. That whole scene just now, dangerously close to the edge. If Xiaoye hadn't shown up when he did, there'd have been no escaping Shen Yao today. And I'd likely be in an even worse place than my last life. I looked at my hand, blistered and swollen, and the palm print still fresh on my face, fingers trailing gently over the wounds. The hatred in me deepened. Liu Ruyan, Shen Yao, everything you owe me. I will collect every last bit of it, with interest. Just then, a soft knock came at the door. It was Yao Kui, a young maid Steward Shu had sent over with medicine. She set a small, elegant wooden box on the table, and said respectfully, Miss Sunuo, this is a golden wound salve the Duke specifically ordered for you. Prepared by the manor's own physician. Extremely effective. Please apply it on schedule. Also, the Duke says, you no longer need to attend to the young mistress. You'll be staying in his courtyard for the time being. Whatever you need, just let me know. My heart settled. Xiaoye was keeping me close. This was undeniably the best outcome, with him as my shield. Liu Ruyan and Shen Yao wouldn't dare touch me easily, but it also meant I was now completely on the opposite side from them, and the road ahead was only going to get harder. I thanked Xiao Kuai. Thank you so much. Please pass my gratitude along to the Duke as well. After she left, I opened the box right away. Inside sat a small white jade vial. I uncapped it. A cool, clean herbal scent hit me immediately. I started applying it to my wounds. The cooling sensation eased the pain almost instantly, and with it, some of the restless anxiety in my chest settled too. I lay back on the bed, mind spinning. The tragedy of my last life cannot happen again. This time around, I'm not just going to survive. I'm going to thrive. Early the next morning, before I'd even gotten up, I heard Chun Yao's sharp, shrill voice outside the door. This shameless little vixen, was nothing but a maid who crawled into a man's bed, and now she thinks she can take over the Duke's courtyard? Who does she think she is? Absolutely shameless. One day she's gonna get what's coming to her. Loud enough that every word reached me crystal clear. I frowned slightly and didn't react. With Xiaoye's protection now, Chun Yao didn't dare actually barge in. She was just out there running her mouth, that's all. Not long after, Zhao Kui brought breakfast. A plate of delicate osmanthus cakes, a warm bowl of lotus seed congee, 2 small side dishes. Looking at the food on the table, I knew it was all from Xiaoye. But I also knew this might just be a passing interest on his part. Men's novelty fades fast. If I didn't find a way to actually hold his attention, I'd be discarded sooner or later. After breakfast, I was still thinking through how to take the next step. Earn Xiaoye's trust. When Steward Shu came in person, the Duke is requesting your presence. His study. My chest tightened. I quickly straightened my clothes and followed Steward Shu toward Xiaoye's study. The whole way, the other servants looked at me differently, but I kept my eyes straight ahead. Just kept walking. At the study door, I took a deep breath and stepped inside. Xiaoye was sitting at his desk going through official documents when he heard something. He looked up, eyes landing on me, searching with something unreadable behind them. How's the wound? His voice was flat as ever. My lord. Much better, thank you for asking. I answered with a bow, too scared to meet his eyes. Get over here. Xiaoye's voice carried the kind of authority you don't question. I walked up slowly, stopping just a few feet away, close enough to catch the faint scent of ink on him, mixed with ambergris. He set down his brush and stood up, then suddenly reached out and tilted my chin up, forcing me to look at him. You've got some nerve. Scheming your way into my bed, and then throwing my name around in front of Shen Yao like a shield. My heart dropped. I quickly lowered my head, eyes going red instantly. I just didn't want Lady Xiao to hand me over to her son-in-law. My past life. The suffocation of drowning still felt like it was stuck in my throat. Tears slid down my face, dripping onto the back of his hand. Xiaoye watched me cry, his fingers pausing for just a moment. Half a beat later, he let go. Fine, since you're already mine now, no one in this estate will dare touch you again. My heart jumped. I immediately dropped to my knees. Xiaoye pulled me back up, his gaze falling on the handprint on my face. Who did this? His voice went cold instantly. It was Sister Chunyao when she brought the soup yesterday. She hit me. I told him the truth. Xiaoye's expression darkened. A flash of ice crossed his eyes. Steward Shu walked in immediately. My lord, what are your orders? Bring Chunyao here. Xiaoye's voice was completely emotionless. Chunyao was escorted in by 2 guards shortly after. The moment she saw me and Xiaoye, her face went paper white. My lord, I don't know what I've done wrong. Please, my lord, look into this clearly. Why did you hit Suno yesterday? Xiaoye's eyes were like blades. Chunyao's eyes darted around. She scrambled for an excuse. The girl was being careless. Almost dropped an imperial gift bowl. I just gave her a few words of discipline. Xiaoye let out a cold scoff. A servant? Throwing her weight around and hitting people just because she has Lady Xiao's backing? And now she has the nerve to lie about it? Drag Chunyao out. 30 lashes, sent to the farm outside the city. She is never to return. Chunyao was absolutely terrified. She kowtowed over and over, begging for mercy. But she was dragged out all the same. I stood there to the side, feeling a surge of satisfaction. This was just the beginning. After handling Chunyao, Xiaoye looked at me. From now on, if anyone dares mess with you, come straight to me. Don't just take it. I bowed to thank him. Walking out of the study, I knew exactly what this was. Xiaoye was establishing my standing. But Liu Ruyan was not going to let this go. Sure enough, before long a maid came over, saying Lady Xiao wanted to see me. I smiled coldly to myself. It was always coming. I straightened my clothes, composed my expression, and followed the maid toward Liu Ruyan's courtyard, running through my moves the entire way there. I walked into Liu Ruyan's courtyard. Rich floral scent hit me immediately. A sharp contrast from the remote little yard I lived in. Liu Ruyan was reclining on a daybed by the window, looking visibly worn out, but with resentment coiled behind her eyes. Sunuo, you're here. Flat, unbothered. I bowed politely. Lady Xiao, you wanted to see me? Liu Ruyan waved all the maids out, then sighed. Chunyao can be overbearing, I know that. But she does it for me. Now that you have the Lord's favor, can't you be the bigger person? And let this one slide? I put on an apologetic look. Lady Xiao, it's not that I won't. It's that the Lord has already given his orders. I wouldn't dare go against them. Liu Ruyan's face dropped. Her hands clenched tight. Don't forget, your indenture contract is still in my hands. One word from me, and I'll make sure there's not even a grave left for you. I kept my head down, voice carrying real hurt. I just want to live in peace. I don't want to be pushed around anymore. You crawled into the Lord's bed. Isn't that exactly for money and status? Liu Ruyan sneered. I'm telling you, stay in your lane. The Lord is just entertained right now. Once the novelty wears off, you're still just a lowly maid. Walk away on your own and I'll give you a payout. Her words hit where it hurt, but I was never making that same mistake again. I took a deep breath, lifted my head, eyes steady. My lady, I belong to the Lord now. No one gets to push me around anymore. That includes you. Liu Ruyan didn't expect me to talk back. Her face went livid. You little, think you've got wings now? If you speak to me like that again, don't blame me for going straight to the Lord. And when he blames you for it, the child you're carrying might just suffer for it too. Liu Ruyan slammed the table, yelled toward the door. Someone get in here! A few rough-looking women charged in. Drag her to the woodshed and lock her in. Until I say otherwise. No food, no water. My heart sank. Lady Xiao! I cried out. You can't do this. The Lord will not let this go. Liu Ruyan laughed coldly. The Lord is busy with military affairs. By the time he even thinks about you, you'll have starved to death. The women grabbed me. I fought with everything I had, but it was useless. My wrists were gripped so hard it burned. The woodshed was dark and damp, thick with mold and smoke. They threw me on the ground, locked the door, and left. I struggled to pull myself up. My knee hit the stone floor hard. A piercing pain shot through me. I started questioning my choices. But my past life, the image of being drowned by Shen Yao was still vivid. I couldn't give up. Just then, the woodshed door was pushed open a crack. Xiao Kui poked her head in, eyes full of worry. She slipped in quietly, pulling 2 warm steamed buns and a flask of water from her robe. Miss Sunuo, eat up. Steward Shu asked me to bring this. I ate fast, barely breathing between bites, voice cracking. Thank you. And thanks Steward Shu for me. Steward Shu says the Lord is tied up with border military affairs. Still another 3 or 4 days before he's done. He says to hold on and stay safe. Xiao Kui leaned in. If anything happens, knock on the door 3 times softly. I'll find a way to get to you. She slipped out. I leaned against the wall, something like hope filling my chest. When Xiaoye gets back, Liu Ruyan is going to pay for this badly. The next few days, Xiao Kui snuck me food and water every single day. But the woodshed conditions were brutal. My wounds started getting infected. High fever hit. My mind started drifting. I even started hallucinating being drowned by Shen Yao. I knew I couldn't go under. Had to hold on, but my body was getting weaker by the hour. Life slipping away bit by bit. Right when I thought I couldn't hold on any longer, the woodshed door was suddenly shoved open hard. A familiar silhouette appeared in the doorway. Xiaoye. He saw me barely clinging to life. He crossed the room fast, carefully scooped me up, voice shaking slightly. Sunuo, are you alright? Can you hear me? I slumped against his chest, barely managing to open my eyes. Tears fell instantly. My lord, I thought I'd never see you again. Xiaoye's arms tightened around me. He moved fast toward his courtyard, barking at Steward Shu as he walked. Find out right now. Who put her in there? I'll make them pay 10 times over, 100. Every servant nearby held their breath. They had never seen the Lord this furious. I leaned into his chest, listening to his heartbeat, feeling genuinely safe for the first time. This life, someone was finally this angry on my behalf. Someone was actually protecting me. Back at Xiaoye's courtyard, he immediately sent someone for a physician. Go get the best physician from the Imperial Medical Bureau. If anything happens to Miss Sunuo, I'll hold every one of you responsible. He gently laid me down on the soft bed, pulled the covers over me, and sat at the edge watching over me, pressing his hand to my burning forehead. His brow furrowed even deeper. I drifted off, barely conscious. In my dream, I was back in my past life, Shen Yao dragging me into the water. The suffocation kept growing stronger. Right when I was about to go under, a pair of warm, strong hands pulled me out. I jolted awake, gasping for air, forehead drenched in cold sweat. Xiaoye grabbed my hand immediately, voice soft. It's okay. I'm right here, you're safe. Everything I'd been holding, the fear, the pain, broke all at once. I buried my face in his chest and cried. He gently patted my back, patiently waiting for me to calm down. When I woke again, the physician was already there. He checked my pulse, examined the wound. My lord, Miss Sunuo's injuries are severe. She's also caught a cold on top of it. Fever won't break, and there's internal cold qi buildup. If you'd come even a little later, there would have been nothing left to do. Fortunately, you got here in time. She can still be saved. Xiaoye's expression went even darker, eyes loaded with meaning. Liu Ruyan, bold move. I tugged at his sleeve, voice barely there. My lord, please don't be too hard on her. She's carrying your child after all. The more you let it go, the more she'll push. I'm not letting this one slide, not this time. Xiaoye said that and walked out. It wasn't long before word came back. Xiaoye had put Liu Ruyan under house arrest for 3 months, stripped away most of her maids and servants, left only 2 plain girls to attend to her. When Shen Yao found out, he ran to Xiaoye's study to plead for her, got told off without any mercy, and was sent away to reflect on his actions. Shen Yao was furious. His resentment toward me and Xiaoye ran even deeper. With Liu Ruyan confined, the estate got a lot quieter. Under Xiaoye's careful attention, I slowly got better. He'd come check on me every single day, talk to me about campaigns and battles. Sometimes he'd just sit there quietly watching me, eyes warm but carrying something I couldn't quite read. I could feel his feelings toward me shifting. It wasn't just novelty anymore. Something more genuine had crept in, but the gap between us was still too wide. Without a real title, I'd always be at someone else's mercy. One day when Xiaoye came to see me, I hesitated, then spoke up. I have a request. Say it. He looked up, eyes steady. I want to ask the Lord to give me a formal title. Even if it's just a small one. The lowest possible. Anything. Xiaoye paused. A flicker of surprise crossed his eyes. Why do you want a title? I just don't want to be pushed around anymore. I don't want to live like I have no say in anything. My voice carried both hurt and resolve. Xiaoye looked at the conviction in my eyes. Made up his mind. All right. Once you're fully recovered, I'll petition the court to officially grant you the title of concubine. It may only be that, but I will protect you. No one will ever hurt you again. My heart leapt. I immediately dropped to my knees to thank him. Thank you, my lord. I will serve you faithfully from now on. I won't let your kindness go to waste. Xiaoye helped me up, gently running his hand over my hair. I leaned against him, heart completely full. This life, I finally had someone to lean on. Word that Xiaoye was giving me an official title spread through the entire estate fast, even reaching ears of officials in the capital. Nobody saw it coming. Xiaoye giving a title to a maid. That was basically unheard of in a city as rank-obsessed as the capital. Shen Yao flew into a rage when he heard, started smashing things in his room, fuming and panicking at the same time. He went to find Xiaoye and tried to talk him out of it. Sunuo's status is too low. Making her a concubine will make you a laughingstock. Xiaoye stared at him coldly. My business? Since when do you have a say in it? Whoever I choose, I'll give them whatever title I want. No outsider gets a vote. Shen Yao's face drained. He quickly bowed his head. I just worry about your reputation. My reputation doesn't need a maid to protect it. What you should be doing is keeping your wife in check. Tell her to stop causing trouble. Otherwise, don't expect me to hold back out of old loyalty. Xiaoye gave a cold scoff. Shen Yao could only slink away in embarrassment, the bitterness inside him growing darker by the minute. He felt Xiaoye was being completely unfair, going this far for the sake of a servant girl. He wasn't Xiaoye's biological son to begin with. He would never inherit the duke's estate, not unless something happened to Xiaoye. And now Xiaoye was showering me with this much affection. If I were to bear a son someday, his position would become even more precarious. The ambition inside Shen Yao began to surface. He started secretly making contact, reaching out to officials at court who had grudges against Xiaoye. His plan: strip Xiaoye of all real power and take his place. He used the connections and resources he'd spent years building up in the capital to quietly draw in everyone who resented Xiaoye. They were scheming something enormous. Xiaoye saw all of it. He'd been on guard against Shen Yao for a long time. He just hadn't expected him to move this recklessly, this fast. What Shen Yao was doing now made up his mind. This threat had to be eliminated for good. That day, Xiaoye called me in for a talk. Suno, Shen Yao has been secretly colluding with officials. His intentions are treasonous. He wants to stage a rebellion. What do you think I should do with him? My heart lurched. Shen Yao actually dared commit treason, a crime punishable by the extermination of 9 generations. I hesitated. My lord, Shen Yao is your adopted son after all. He's followed you for years. Why not give him one chance to turn himself around? If he still refuses to see reason, it won't be too late to deal with him then. Xiaoye looked at me. A flash of admiration crossed his eyes. You really do have a kind heart. But once certain people develop ambitions like this, they don't turn back. What Shen Yao has done has crossed my absolute limit. He doesn't just want my power and position. He wants your life. I can't afford to let this slide any further. Xiaoye moved quickly. It wasn't long before he had gathered ironclad evidence of Shen Yao's collusion with those officials, including the written correspondence between them and transcripts of their secret meetings. The evidence was airtight, completely irrefutable. Xiaoye compiled everything and presented it to the emperor. The emperor immediately issued a decree, stripping Shen Yao of his titles and ordering his arrest, throwing him in prison. Every official who had colluded with Shen Yao was punished without mercy. When Liu Ruyan learned that Shen Yao had been locked away, she fell into complete despair. Shut inside the prayer hall, she wailed and hurled curses at me and at Lord Xiao. With Shen Yao behind bars, the turmoil within the Duke's estate temporarily settled. The servants who had once attached themselves to Shen Yao quickly changed sides, no longer daring to harbor any rebellious thoughts. Xiao Ye kept his promise. He submitted a formal memorial to the court, officially naming me his concubine. The emperor, in recognition of Lord Xiao's years of distinguished service, approved the request. He even sent along a generous selection of precious gifts as a congratulatory present. The moment the imperial edict arrived, tears of overwhelming emotion streamed down my face. I knelt on the ground and kowtowed in the direction of the imperial palace. Xiao Ye helped me to my feet and said with great tenderness, "From now on, you are mine." I leaned against his chest, my heart full of happiness and gratitude. After becoming his official concubine, my standing within the Duke's estate grew considerably more secure. The servants treated me with deference. Even distant relatives of the family became much more courteous toward me. Xiao Ye also grew even more devoted to me. He visited me almost every day, coming to my courtyard as soon as he'd finished his official duties, sometimes taking me to stroll through the garden of the estate. Everyone in the household knew I was the person closest to Lord Xiao's heart. No one dared to cross me anymore. But I didn't let it go to my head. I knew everything I had now was something Lord Xiao had given me. I had to serve him with even more care and attentiveness, and work hard to learn the rules of the household. Qingzu and Lue served me wholeheartedly, taking care of all manner of daily affairs for me. Even so, there were still plenty of ladies from prominent households who gossiped endlessly, saying a servant girl like me was no match for Lord Xiao. But every single time, Lord Xiao defended me without hesitation, and no matter when, he would always say to me gently, "With me here, no one will ever be able to hurt you again." I looked into his eyes full of love and resolve, and felt a happiness that filled me completely. In this life, I hadn't just rewritten my own fate. I had found someone who truly loved me. Liu Ruyan was confined to the prayer hall, and never came out again, not even after giving birth. Shen Yao was sentenced to death for treason. The officials who had conspired with him all received the punishment they deserved, and I finally shed the shadow of my past. I had found solid footing within the Duke's estate. With Xiao Ye's protection in the days ahead, I would never again have to fear being bullied by anyone. I could finally live openly, and make something brilliant of this life.